Welcome to Cuba, where little has changed since 1961 when the U.S. severed diplomatic ties. But that may be changing. Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill, a Democrat, was with a group of U.S. lawmakers who went to Cuba on a mission to look at trade opportunities for American companies.
And I come from a very big agricultural state. We would love to sell the Cuban people more rice. We would love to sell them more chicken and more beans and more corn. So hopefully this trip will also help my farmers at home.
But any outreach to Cuba faces strong opposition from critics in the Republican-controlled Congress, who say Cuba's smaller economy stands to benefit more. It may be small, but it's a market many American companies want access to, says the Peterson Institute's Gary Hufbauer.
Food companies, Procter & Gamble, financial companies, MasterCard, Visa card, but any finance company, because there's going to be a lot of investment in Cuba if they normalize.
Given its proximity to Cuba, the state of Florida could benefit greatly from normalized relations. John Fay, who owns an air charter company in Florida, hopes to add Havana one day to his list of destinations.
It'll be satisfying if we get it done, because, you know, if our pie is this big now, it might be that big. Because it's the largest island in the Caribbean. There's 11 million people down there, beautiful beaches, weather.
But such talk never fails to stir passions in the Cuban-American community. Remedios Diaz is president and CEO of All American Containers.
I wouldn't do business with Cuba on principle, because I think it's a country that has only demonstrated that it doesn't have respect for human rights.
Ironically, easing the friction between the two countries could speed up the pace of reform, says the IMF's Augusto de la Torre.
Reforms in Cuba are a complement to increased interactions with the U.S. in the sense that those interactions have a bigger bang for the buck, if you want, in terms of social benefits in Cuba, to the extent that Cuba makes progress in its reform program.
And of course, there's also Cuba's most famous export. Industry experts say Cuban cigars could take over as much as a third of the premium cigar market in the U.S. if trade restrictions were lifted. David Savona is executive editor at CIGAR AFICIONADO magazine.
Cuba's the birthplace of cigars. When you think about Cuba, you can't help but think about cigars.
Negotiators believe a breakthrough is likely in the next 6 months, but only if Congress agrees to vote on 2 bipartisan bills that would lift travel restrictions and repeal the 53-year-old embargo. Arcega, VOA News, Washington.